The Amazing World of Gumball is a show created by Ben Quote in 2011, and now hit 6th season. And I gotta say, this show is amazing, but not all shows are perfect. Like PvZ Plus, it tends to have bad episodes every now and then, but most of the episodes of the entire series feels really good to watch. So yeah, I'm counting down my picks for my top 20 worst Gumball episodes. But before we start, I'm going to state a few rules on this list to prevent it from being overly, how do you say, stupid. Yeah, probably stupid. The rules are, I'm only going to include 2 Season 6 episodes, no Halloween or Christmas, because those episodes don't have the word "the." And it's kind of a stupid reason. So, also, the first 5 episodes on this list aren't bad. They're just mediocre or okay episodes. Just so, here's the legend. Numbers 20 through 16 aren't all too bad. They're just mediocre or okay episodes. 15 to 11 means there are bad episodes. 10 to 6 are abysmal episodes. 5 to 2 are disgusting episodes, and I consider them to be horrible and unwatchable. Well, not exactly. And the last one is I consider to be the worst episode from the entire show. So, without further ado, I'm gonna count down my picks for my top 20 worst Gumball episodes. Number 20. The Ad. So, this is our first Season 6 episode, and the first one on this list. So, yeah, I actually found this episode to be pretty hilarious. So, where's the problem here? Well, the second half isn't all that interesting, and yeah, there are some pretty funny jokes. It's just not as interesting as I thought it would be. It's about some goats coming to Elmore because they're like the oldest people to live, the oldest hunters, explorers, I believe, to live. I don't know. This episode is kind of a boring episode when you get to the second half. Yeah, I'm not the fondest fan of the second half. The first half was pretty okay. There are some pretty funny jokes, like at that beginning where Darwin and Naive and Gumball get brought home by Dad's horse. It's actually a pretty okay moment, but yeah, this episode it's pretty boring. And I wouldn't recommend watching it. You can watch it, sure. Yeah, it's a good episode. Yeah, it's pretty decent, but don't feel left out that the second half kind of let you down. Number 19. The Dress. Yes, this is our first Season 1 episode, and we're starting off with the 6th episode of the whole series. Yes, this is the 6th episode. 6th episode of the entire series. And yet they make a mediocre episode this early on? Okay, I'm just gonna stop complaining about this episode and get on with the plot. Basically, the plot is that Gumball's clothes have been shrunken and now he has to wear Mom's wedding dress. Darwin thinks that mistakes Gumball as a girl, which Darwin is by far the worst character in this episode. He literally goes out of his way just to kiss his brother. Jesus. Fucking incest. Okay, now, addressing myself, there are some redeeming qualities. This episode was very early on in the series, so I'll give it a pass. And 2, the first minute or 2 aren't too sufferable. And I guess the song was decent? I don't know, I haven't heard much of a song. But when I redo this list, I'll probably talk about the song a little bit more. So, all in all, I consider it a mediocre episode, and not what I was expecting from this show. Number 18. The Kiss. Yes, this is the first episode ever to have a Granny JoJo in it. In this episode, the Warsons' parents go out. No, they just leave the Warsons' kids by themselves with Granny JoJo. Throughout the majority of the episode, Gumball's always feared of Granny JoJo kissing her. And just, yeah, I kind of laughed a few times. Like, basically, the one where Nice gets mad just because he has to bring Granny JoJo's suitcase down. Just as she managed to get up to the said location was actually pretty okay. But the most terrifying scene in the whole episode was possibly the one with the supper. Yes, the supper one. Yes, the scene was pretty much almost thought that Gumball was going to die. But all it was a dream. And if it wasn't a dream, Gumball would have been kissed and died because of this kissing. Yes. Gumball clearly hates Granny JoJo in every single episode. Well, not exactly in every single episode, but just in most of the episodes. Fun fact, she was also later mentioned in the episode The Plan. Yeah, she was also mentioned in the episode The Plan. Yeah, that was one of the interesting few facts. There are a few jokes like the walking fish joke, where Granny JoJo goes, "Hello, walking fish," the dangerous criminal one, and the nice you mad one. But oh no, I just consider it a mediocre season 1 episode. Number 17. The Father. The good news is, this is the final season 6 episode on this list. The bad news is, this is the worst of season 6. Well, yeah, it's not as good as I thought it would be. After the epic episode that we got, which is the one, this episode just kind of let me down. The kids want Grandpa Frankie to bond with his son, Richard Watterson. But in order to do that, they try many things in order to, I don't know, just forget about him, I guess. But in the end, they just they just do fishing in the wall with the fishing for money, which is kind of a funny scene. This episode didn't leave me out in anger, it just left me out in boredom. I don't know, Richard was just kind of boring in this episode. Yeah, this episode's only crime is committed is just boring. Yeah, this episode is boring. That's all I can say about this episode. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's just a pretty dull episode. Enough. Number 16. The Coach. This is the last mediocre episode I'm putting on this list. Mainly because of the introduction to the character of the Coach, which is a pretty decent character. Heck, she even appeared in later episodes of the show. But besides that, it's just a dull episode. Yeah, nothing really goes on in this episode, but I kind of like the ending was probably decent. It's not the best ending of a show, but I'll take it. Yeah, this episode's not as good as I thought it'd be. Probably my favorite moment of this episode was probably when Gumball and Doran had their jaws open throughout the whole night. Even when they were sleeping. Yeah, that was actually pretty decent. And pretty much the best joke of the whole episode. Yeah, this episode may have had one memorable moment, but oh no, it's just not a good episode to watch. Still, yeah, it's watchable, and I don't really hate it that much. But whenever I'm rewatching this series, I'll probably just come back to it either just for one moment or just to watch it entirely, I guess. But still, it's a pretty meh episode of the show, and we're probably finished with the mess. And now we have to go to the bads first. Yeah. First up, I'm just gonna say that these episodes that I put on the top 15 are all my opinion, so don't go bashing in the comment section. Okay? Okay, we cool. Number 15. The Slap. Now, this is our first bad episode on this list, and what way to start off with a Season 4 episode. The episode's all about Gumball wanting to get a slap in the butt from Tobias because he slapped other people in the butt. And that's probably the weakest Gumball plot I've ever seen in my life. So basically he spends 11 minutes trying to get it, and when he does get it, he basically yells at Tobias for doing it. Seriously, Gumball is pretty much a hypocrite in this episode, and makes Tobias the only likable character in this episode. Yeah, this episode is just a really bad one. And I believe this is probably my worst Tobias episode. You basically Gumball spent 11 minutes trying to get a swan slap in the butt from Tobias, and yells at him when he finally does it. What's even worse is that they almost died in the episode. As you can see on the right, they look like they're about to die. Yes. This episode pretty much thought that it was probably going to be the end of it. But no. He said, basically, Rocky said that they were up there for a few days. Basically, they've been up there for a few days. Why? This episode really needs to be talked about. And that's why it's only number 15 on this list. Number 14. The Lie. This episode involves Gumball making up a social tag lie, which doesn't sound too bad until Miss Seaman tries to make it look like a lie. Yeah, she literally tries 11 minutes in the episode, treated as the main antagonist, and guess what happens? She won at the end. Oh my god, she actually won at the end. Come on! Missy was always supposed to lose. Well, even though I might have thought of that, think of that, while Missy was being portrayed as the main antagonist up until when we saw Rob again as a horrifyingly glitched creature. So, yeah. The moments are pretty decent, but when we get to the end, it just ruins it for me. Come on, they could have just closed the curtains and just not care about it and continue onward. But the reason why it's number 14 was because Gumball's overreaction was kind of funny. You literally had a clay version smashed of him, a clay model of him being smashed to death, and then some world exploding. So, yeah, this is 14 on the list, just for this one scene. Number 13. The Extras. This episode literally served no purpose to be in an episode, other than to give minor characters a major role in the episode. Which is kind of okay, but some of the skits are pretty forgettable. Yeah, this episode is kind of forgettable, but not as bad as the other episodes on this list. There are a few decent ones, but yeah. The song was okay for the most part, but oh no, I just considered it one of the more weaker episodes of the show. And this was from Season 3, the first post-puberty season of the whole show. Number 12. The Apology. In this episode, Miss Simmy goes to full legend to Gumball and Darwin and thinking are bad kids after what happened when she was insulted. Yeah, it's one of those episodes where Miss Simmy is a jerk. And not a likable jerk, just a cruel jerk. And this is why I really dislike this episode. Miss Simmy just goes out of her way just to get Gumball and Darwin punished. Yeah, she literally spends 11 minutes doing that. And that's what there is to it. But there is a redeeming quality in this episode, is that 1, the beginning isn't all that bad, and 2, there were a few funny jokes. So, I'll give this a skip. and consider it number 12 on the list. Number 11, the triangle. In this episode, Darwin learns a new trick, which is playing the flute, and Gumball gets really jealous at him. Yeah, this is one of the episodes I really hate, and even though it's season 3, episode 39, I can still consider it to be the worst episode of the first season. Yeah, there are a few redeeming qualities, like the Darwin and Leslie playing the flute were okay, there are a few funny jokes, and the Donald Duck scene, which was okay, but for them, and the ending too, which Darwin kinda deserved it. But yeah, I consider it to be by far the worst season 3 episode. Like, wow, how could they make Gumball look like a horrible person? Well, not exactly a horrible person, just like a torture victim. It's just a Gumball torture episode. And yeah, that's the reason why it's number 11 on this list. There are a few good or okay parts, but also mixing with a Gumball torture episode where Gumball gets locked up, met with a cardboard Darwin, and luckily manages to escape, and collects the weird Donald Duck outfit, and manages to save Darwin's life before Leslie ruins it for him. But yeah, this episode just really reeks with badness, and yeah. Another redeeming quality is that this episode didn't cause the show to go downhill, nor did the money, which I'll probably do a solo review on this episode. So yeah, I'm going to consider the triangle to be number 11 on the list. Number 10, The Picnic. Now we're getting to the episodes that I really despise, and I consider them to be the worst episodes of the entire show. Well, not exactly the worst, I just consider them to be terrible episodes. So basically, in this episode, Gumball and Darwin get lost in the woods and must find their way back, which is an okay plot, but it's kind of boring and forgettable. Basically, the worst part about this episode is that Darwin ate Gumball's clothes. That's just really cruel to your owner, which he got in the episode The Origins. That's pretty cruel to do it to your owner, Darwin. But at least he turned his back around and saved Gumball on the ladder. So, this is the reason why it's only number 10 on the list. And there also were pretty funny jokes. Some funny jokes, but not enough to save this episode from being lower on the list. Number 9, The Sock. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin must learn about honesty after what Gumball lied about. Basically, that being Gumball's dad ate his homework. And basically they're sent to Mr. Small's office, which they must learn about honesty, and Gumball and Darwin know about the most annoying character in this episode. The frickin' Sock. This guy is annoying. He literally just goes, silence! Jeez, that's annoying. But however, there are a few redeeming qualities when Gumball and Darwin try and not say anything, like when they basically Gumball and Darwin are trying to tell them what happened to Miss Simeon and Nigel Brown. That's actually pretty decent and okay, but yeah, those are the only two things I like about this episode. And the police sheriff part was actually pretty pointless. Yeah, Gumball and Darwin called 911, but it was just pretty pointless. And there was also another redeeming quality with this episode, is because there is one redeeming quality that saved this episode from being higher on the list. That was because when Gumball went, she loves you. And then when Mr. Small had that line hat and put it on and off over and over again, that was actually a pretty funny part, but wasn't enough funny to save this episode from being lower on the list. So that's why it's only number 9 on the list. It was just a pretty forgettable episode, and probably one of the more annoying episodes. And this episode is from Season 1. My second favorite season of the whole show. Yeah, this episode just has lots of problems. and just not what I was thinking about. This episode is just horrible to watch. It's just really forgettable and a really annoying episode to watch. Number 8. The Best. In this episode, Gumball wants to prove that he is better than Carmen, so basically Gumball becomes SJW in this episode, and it's actually a good representation of how SJWs act like in real life. The pacing is fine, and there are a few nods to the source material. So where's the big issue? Basically, Carmen acts extra unlikable in this episode, and so is Gumball. And Gumball is actually the only character I like in this episode, besides Darwin, who literally serves no purpose in this episode, to be exact. Sure, there were a few jokes that I liked, like the Bragler one, and the one where he tried to sneak in to embarrass Carmen. But the ending is just insulting. When the video they uploaded was the footage of Gumball trying to sneak in. What a horrible, horrible episode for a season 5 episode, which is one of the more meh seasons in my opinion. I don't hate season 2. It's just a meh season for me. So yeah, this is the reason why it's only number 8 on the list. It just had some season 5 just had some forgettable episodes. And yeah, this is just one of the more episodes that I just really, really hate. So I won't consider it number 8 on this list. Number 7. The Authority. Now in the Kiss, her behavior wasn't all too bad. But in this episode, Granny JoJo literally goes through the roof of literally annoying the Watersons so that they can be quote-unquote safe. Yeah, she literally just goes the majority of the episode like, be safe, kids! But however, there are a few okay scenes, like the one where Anais just where the Watersons' room was like shatters into pieces because Granny JoJo slammed the window door hard. And the first part with Richard isn't all too bad, so yeah, I gave it a pass for this one. Yeah, just Granny JoJo just works really, really unlikable in this episode. And Nicole just acts like on the neutral. Yeah, I just really, really dislike this episode. Granny JoJo just acts very unlikable. The Warsons are suffering through the worst possible damage.
Nope. Happy frog.
And Nicole, who's literally the neutral character in this episode, is literally getting blamed on just because her family isn't safe enough. Gumball went through the leap of faith in the Kiss, and she didn't care. So what happened to this episode? Yeah, this was probably the biggest issue with this episode. It literally just derails Granny JoJo. Just wow, I just can't believe they made this episode so Granny JoJo so unlikable in this episode. Then eventually, she tortured the Watersons. And the car chasing was okay, but not the best moment of the whole show. I consider it one of the more better scenes in this episode. Oh no, I just consider it a bad episode of the show. And it's just really abysmal to watch. Can't wait to see what the next 6 are. Number 6. The Virus. In this episode, Terry wants to commit that viruses are bad, which is just a poor portrayal on how people react to diseases. Yeah, this episode is just really annoying to watch when Terry's like, diseases can
just impossible.
Just, I don't know, just affect your mind and make you sick. And it's literally just doing it throughout the first half is just annoying. There are a few funny jokes like the gnomes, right? Like when Gumball heard the thing about the germs like dying. And those were the more okay jokes. Fun fact, this is actually the sister episode of another bad episode, which is The Authority. So basically, 2 bad episodes. Wow. Can't believe they just did that. There are a few, yeah. Also, this marks the first time that, yeah, this episode has some pretty funny jokes when they thought that Terry was dead, but then seconds later comes back alive, and they thought that she was an undead person, which was an okay joke. This scene right here was pretty decent. And this one where basically he just squashes the germ is pretty funny, my dad. But yeah, this is by far the worst Season 2 episode, and it's only number 6 on the list. What could it begin? There's only 5 episodes on this list, and I wouldn't even known about these episodes. Yeah, if I didn't know about these episodes, this show could have been one of my all-time favorites, being Plants vs. Zombies Plush. But these next 5 episodes are pretty much the worst episodes on the show, and one of the episodes I'm probably never gonna watch. Even mine means if the show has already been finished. Yeah, we only have about 5 episodes left, and I'm really losing my sanity. Number 5. The Matchmaker. In this episode, Gumball makes a potion that makes Terry fall in love with Darwin. And, yeah, this episode is just basically a Darwin x Carrie episode. This episode is just horrible to watch. Just horrible. I don't want to watch 11 minutes of Romeo and Juliet. I want to watch 11 minutes of Gumball and Darwin doing crazy stuff. Yeah, this episode is just unwatchable. And just really a horrible episode. But I only put on number 5 was because of this one scene. Basically when Gumball becomes infected with toxin and just tells Carrie random stuff. It's actually a pretty decent scene, but oh my god, what the frick? Jeez. Why'd you just have to make that? Sorry, this is the reason why I put this episode really high on the list. This episode just really rakes out with horrendous and unlikable moments. The only redeeming quality is they did show a little bit of fan service for Darwin and Rachel shippers, so I'll give it a pass. Ding! Number 4. Baruch. The good news is, this is the last post-puberty episode I'm putting on this list. The bad news is, this is probably the worst post-puberty episode. The episode involves the Larsons thinking that they want Darwin back into his environment. So basically they stalk and harass, well not exactly harass, but annoy Darwin to figure out what he's trying to think of when he thinks of fish environment. When he was literally looking at the fish tank, which what Darwin wanted the entire episode. This episode just had some forced jokes and just a bad setup. And it's also a Darwin torture episode, to be exact too. But the redeeming qualities are, 1, the parrot scene was okay and pretty funny. So, that's another ching for actually making an episode not as bad as the last 3 on the list. And this is Darwin's final appearance of the show. He actually managed to come back for his family. So, that's why it's only number 4 on the list. This episode was just a horrible episode to treat Darwin like he needed to be. This episode is just horrible, unlikable, and boring. And it's also a Darwin torture episode, so that's why it's only number 4 on the list. Number 3. The Robot. Hey guys, what would you like to do today? Oh, I don't know. Make an episode where basically the townspeople act like idiots and believe that Bobber is Gumball in disguise? Sure, why not? This episode just really is horrendous to watch. Yeah, this episode is just annoying and obnoxious. In this episode, Bobber just feels ashamed that he's not a human, all because he just to kick a soccer ball at Sun. Just, wow, man. That's just harsh to Bobbert. And yes, I know that this episode is... Yes, this episode is bad. But I want to put it at number 3 is because I'm going to tell you later on why I don't think this is the worst Gumball episode. By far, the worst moment in this episode is when Gumball is locked out of his house and believe that the family believes that Bobbert is Gumball and they hug him. Which is probably the most obnoxious and the most annoying scenes in the whole show. So let's just get to the... So after we see Gumball being the president, he has to sleep outside for the night. Darwin and Bobbert play Dodger Dare, which is the reason why it's only number 3. The fight scene wasn't all too bad. It was actually pretty okay. And pretty fun to watch. So that's why it's only number 3 on this list. The fight scene was okay. We actually saw Bobbert's house for the first time. And the part with Richard playing the video game was pretty decent and funny. So, yeah. This episode is just annoying, unwatchable, and one of the more heartbreaking and horrible, unlikable episodes that are just disgusting to watch. Number 2. The Curse. In this episode, Darwin and Richard try and just do the awkward position where they have their hand on their heads, just trying to get Disneyland tickets. I don't know, it's pretty funny, might I add. But yeah, Gumball actually uses up his good luck yesterday, and now is forced to go through the bad luck. So he gets flushed down water, a toilet, literally almost misses the bus, gets stomped on Hector, can only wear a underwear and a hat, gets 7 hours of detention for yelling at Nigel Brown, gets hit by a football player, and gets struck by lightning. At least Darwin did reveal what happened on how Gumball got bad luck. So, that's an okay quality. So basically, Gumball gets sent to detention, where things go crazy, and Gumball just leaves the room. And then the room explodes, and Gumball manages to escape the room. And this is the reason why it's not number 1 on the list. The mob scene. Yep, this scene was pretty well done. It's actually pretty epic. And the scene, the ending of the scene later appeared in the episode The Name, where Zach just manages to jump over the bridge. So I applaud them for that. But yeah, this episode is pretty forgettable, and this episode just annoys me. So basically, in the end, Gumball's ended up into a hospital where they think they can get Disneyland tickets, but Darwin wants no once the ticket gets shredded into pieces. What a total waste of an episode. Now, before I reveal number 1, I want to name a few honorable mentions. The Laziest. Now, I know I'm not putting on this list because this episode was actually pretty good. There was actually a few funny moments, and the episode wasn't all too bad. Yeah, the episode was actually pretty good. So yeah, I'm putting it as but most people really hate this episode, so that's why it's only on the honorable mentions. The Girlfriend. Many people really consider it to be by far the worst Gumball episode. Maybe for Jamie's actions. But I'm not putting it on the list mainly because I haven't watched much of the episode. Whatever, one thing that annoys me is that Jamie with that weird face down on the left, which kind of gets on my nerves every now and then. But yeah, I'll probably get further thoughts on this episode probably later if I can watch it a little bit more. The Sidekick. In this episode, Darwin wants to become a leader of Darwin is annoyed that Gumball is his sidekick. So basically he goes every single way to prove that he's not. He's a sidekick. Come on, Darwin. You can't do this to your owner. Just like yell at your owner for just because he's a quote-unquote sidekick. So basically, they capture Tobias's mom in the second half, and then they basically at the end, Tobias wants to see if he can want to return the game, but Gumball said, "Nah, you can keep it. This episode just stinked." But I'm gonna put it on the list was because I'm probably gonna do a solo review on it. So yeah, if I feel like this episode was bad enough to be on this list, I'd probably do a solo review on this episode, and then probably, I don't know, do top 25 Worst Gumball Episodes. I don't know. From all I know, the Sidekick is just a annoying episode to watch. So yeah, I'll probably do a solo review on this episode, and whatever. Let's just get to number 1. Number 1. The Meddler. Am I the only one who really hates this episode? No, am I? In this episode, Gumball wants to have more attention. So Nicole brings him more attention. And basically, it's obnoxious to see her when she is fully embarrassing Gumball in front of his friends. Just this episode is basically a battle for Gary of SpongeBob. But you know what? In a battle for Gary, at least the two main characters made a compromise to get rid of the antagonist of the episode. Here, one of the main characters, which is Nicole, straight up embarrasses Gumball. This episode is just horrible. Gumball got 8 hours of detention, embarrassed him in front of Annie, and literally became a cheat just to embarrass him. This episode is just annoying to watch when Nicole is annoying as heck. And when the cheerleading part goes on, this is where I really want to crack the TV screen. This episode just makes Nicole one of the most unlikable characters in this episode, and in the first season. The ending is probably the most insulting and possibly the worst ending of any show ever. If Gumball did get into the cheerleaders team, I don't think it would be on the worst list. I think the curse would be number 1 on the list. But no, they just literally made this episode to make the Gumball fans upset. That Gumball was treated horribly. So, all in all, I consider it to be the show's worst episode, and probably forever. But despite all that controversy, I think Gumball's a pretty great show, and I think you should really check it out. The episode has lots of good episodes, but just don't watch the top 15 episodes that were on this list. So yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned as Gumball reviews will shine in top 20 best Gumball episodes. So tune in next time for either a review of the Sidekick or top 20 best Gumball episodes. So until then, see you later guys, bye!